I used to stream video games most nights, nothing big, a modest but consistent audience of a few hundred regulars who showed up for the same few hours every evening. It was one of the better parts of my week, honestly, a low-stakes, friendly little community built around something I loved doing anyway. The first time anyone mentioned anything strange, I almost didn't take it seriously. A viewer commented, mid-stream, asking who was standing behind me. I turned around on camera, laughing it off. There was nobody there, obviously, just my usual dark curtain background, the one I'd used for over a year without incident. A few more viewers said the same thing over the next several minutes. Someone standing behind me, just at the edge of the frame, visible for a second, and then gone. I checked my own stream recording afterward, scrubbing through the footage slowly, and found nothing. An empty curtain. No shadow, no shape, nothing that could explain what a dozen different viewers claimed to have seen independently of each other. I chalked it up to a compression glitch, some visual artifact from the streaming software that a handful of viewers had all misread as a figure. It happens, I told myself, and moved on. It happened again 2 nights later, except this time more viewers commented, faster, more urgently, and one of them clipped the moment and sent it to me directly. I watched it that night after the stream ended, alone in my apartment, and for the first time I understood why people had been so unsettled. There was, for exactly 11 frames, less than half a second, the unmistakable shape of a person standing directly behind me, close enough that they should have been in physical contact with my chair. Not a shadow, not a lighting artifact. A distinct, solid-looking shape, gone as quickly as it appeared, in footage from a room I knew at the time of recording had contained only me. I didn't stream again for 4 days. I told my audience I was dealing with technical issues, which felt like a smaller lie than the truth I wasn't ready to say out loud. When I did stream again, I moved my setup to a different room, angled the camera differently, made sure there was nowhere behind me that wasn't clearly visible and empty. For the first hour, everything was normal. Then, in the chat, someone asked the question that made my stomach drop before I'd even processed why. Why does it look like there's a hand on your shoulder? I looked down at my own shoulder, on camera, in real time, and saw nothing. But when I checked the recording afterward, there it was. For 6 frames this time, a hand, pale, fingers slightly curled, resting on my shoulder in a room where, again, I had been completely alone. This is where the story moves from strange to something closer to what I can only call an escalation. Because after that stream, the incident stopped being confined to the recordings. I started to feel it. Not see it, feel it. A weight on my shoulder during streams that hadn't been there before. A cold spot in the room that lingered even after I adjusted the thermostat to compensate. I brought in outside help. Not the kind you'd expect, but a friend who worked in video production and had a much better understanding of cameras and sensors than I did. He set up additional equipment, infrared cameras, motion sensors, things meant to catch anything a normal webcam might miss. For 3 streams, nothing unusual registered on any of it, and I started to hope again that whatever this was had passed. The 4th stream with the extra equipment running was the one that ended my streaming career entirely, and it's the part of this story I still have the hardest time talking about. About 2 hours into the stream, every piece of extra equipment activated simultaneously. Motion sensors triggering with no visible movement, the infrared camera picking up a heat signature directly behind my chair that hadn't been there a second before, and that matched almost exactly the size and shape of a person. My friend, watching the feeds remotely, called me midstream, breaking our usual rule of not interrupting during a broadcast, and told me to end the stream immediately and leave the room. I didn't get the chance to end it cleanly. The stream cut out on its own. Not a crash, not a dropped connection, but a clean, deliberate-looking termination, as if something had ended the broadcast rather than the software failing. When the feed came back seconds later, briefly, before disconnecting again for good, viewers reported seeing one final frame. Not me, not my normal setup, but a close, direct shot of the curtain background, empty except for a message, written in the same unsteady, scrawled handwriting across the fabric where no writing had ever been before. Stop showing me. I never streamed from that apartment again. I moved within the month, told my remaining audience a heavily edited version of the truth, and haven't set up a webcam pointed at any room I sleep in since. The last thing I'll say is this. Months later, cleaning out old files, I found a recording from my very first stream. Over a year before any of this started, long before I'd ever had a single strange comment from a viewer. I don't know why I decided to watch it that night. Somewhere around the 20-minute mark, for exactly 4 frames, barely visible if you're not looking for it, there's a shape at the edge of the frame behind me. It had been there from the very beginning. I just hadn't been watched closely enough by anyone to notice. Now moving to the next story. I used to drive nights for a rideshare app to cover rent during grad school. 4-5 hours after my regular job, just cruising the app until midnight or so. Nothing ever happened. That's the thing people don't tell you about driving nights. 99% of it is boring. Drunk college kids, people leaving the airport, the occasional awkward silence. I want you to understand that boredom because it's the reason I didn't notice what was happening until it had already happened 4 times. The first time, it was a normal pickup. A woman, maybe 30, standing outside a bar downtown. She got in, gave me an address about 15 minutes out, quiet residential street, and we didn't talk much. I dropped her off. Normal. 2 weeks later, different night, different app request, different name on the screen. I picked up a man outside a different bar on the opposite side of the city. He gave me an address. 15 minutes out. I didn't think anything of it until I pulled up to the house and realized I'd been here before. Same house, same porch light, same wind chime hanging by the door. I told myself it was a coincidence. 2 different bars, 2 different passengers, same neighborhood. It's a big neighborhood, lots of similar houses. I dropped him off and drove away and didn't think about it again until the 3rd time. The 3rd time, it was a young guy. Early 20s, and this time I was paying attention before he even said the address. Something about his energy felt wrong. He kept checking the time on his phone, kept glancing behind us like he expected someone to be following. When he gave me the address, my stomach dropped before we'd even left the pickup spot. Same street, same house. "You know this place?" he asked, like he'd caught something in my face. "No," I said. "Just tired." He didn't say anything else the whole ride. When we pulled up, he didn't get out right away. He sat there staring at the house like it was the last place on earth he wanted to be. "You okay?" I asked. "It's not my house," he said. "I don't live here. I have to go in." He got out before I could ask what that meant. I watched him walk up to the door. It opened before he knocked. I didn't see who opened it. I drove off before I let myself find out. The 4th time was 3 weeks after that, and this time I almost didn't take the ride. I saw the pickup location and something in my gut told me to decline it. I took it anyway, because the boredom of night driving makes you second-guess your own instincts, makes you tell yourself you're imagining patterns that aren't there. She was older this time, 60 maybe, and she got in without saying a word, just gave me the address in a flat, tired voice. Same address. 4th time. I didn't say anything for the first 10 minutes, then I couldn't help it. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "That address, do you know anyone who lives there?" She looked at me in the mirror for a long moment. "Nobody lives there," she said. "It's been empty for 6 years. I felt the temperature in the car change, even though nothing had actually changed." "Then why do you need to go there?" She was quiet for almost a full minute. When she spoke again, her voice was different, lower, slower, like she was choosing every word carefully. "Because it calls people," she said. "It doesn't matter who. It just needs someone new every few weeks. You're the 4th driver who's brought someone here this year. Did you know that?" I didn't. I couldn't have known that. There was no way for her to know how many times I'd made this drive unless she'd been watching. Unless something had been keeping track that I couldn't see. "How do you know that?" I said. "About the other drivers?" She didn't answer. When I looked in the mirror again, the back seat was empty. I don't mean she'd gotten out. I mean the car was still moving, we were still 10 minutes from the house, and there had been no stop, no door opening, nothing. She was simply not there anymore. I pulled over on the shoulder of the road and sat there for 20 minutes before I could make myself keep driving. I never went back to that neighborhood. I deleted the app that week, and I never drove nights again. But sometimes, when I can't sleep, I think about that house with the porch light and the wind chime, sitting there empty for 6 years, and I wonder how many drivers it's used since me. How many more it still needs. Now moving to the next story. I was the one calling for the ride this time, not driving it. I'd just missed the last train home after a work event ran too long, and it was almost 1 a.m., and the app said my driver was 6 minutes out. I stood outside the venue in the cold and watched the little car icon move on the map, and I noticed something strange before the car even arrived. The driver's photo. It matched the name, matched the car, matched everything on the profile, but something about the eyes in that tiny thumbnail made me uneasy in a way I couldn't explain. I told myself I was tired. I told myself 6-month-old rideshare profile photos always look a little off. I got in the car anyway because it was 1 in the morning and cold and I wanted to be home. The driver didn't say much at first, which I appreciated. We drove for about 10 minutes in comfortable silence before he spoke. "Long night?" he asked. "Something like that," I said. "You work late a lot?" I gave a short answer, the kind you give a stranger, and went back to looking at my phone. But I noticed he kept glancing at me in the mirror, not creepy exactly, just persistent, like he was trying to place my face. "Have I driven you before?" he asked. "I don't think so," I said. "I don't usually take rides this late." "Funny," he said. "You look really familiar." I laughed it off, said something about having one of those faces, and went back to my phone. But he brought it up again 2 minutes later. "I keep thinking about where I know you from," he said. "It's going to bother me all night." There was something about the way he said it, not casual anymore, more like he was working through a puzzle out loud, testing pieces against each other. I started paying closer attention to the road, to how far we were from anywhere familiar, to how the doors worked, without meaning to look like I was doing any of that. "Do you ever get the feeling," he said, "that you've lived through the same night twice?" I didn't answer. I didn't like where this was going. "Because I keep having this same night," he said. "Same pickup time, same weather. I keep thinking it's a new night, and then I realize it's not. It's the same one. Just repeating." "You should get some sleep," I said, trying to sound light about it, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "I have," he said. "I sleep every night. That's what's strange. I sleep and then I wake up, and it's the same night again, same shift, same pickup." He turned onto a street I didn't recognize, not the way to my apartment. I felt my whole body go cold. "This isn't my way home," I said. "I know," he said. "It's not supposed to be. Nothing about tonight has gone the way it's supposed to." That's how I know it's real this time. I grabbed the door handle, unlocked, thankfully. He hadn't thought to lock it, or maybe it didn't occur to him that I'd need to. I told him to stop the car right there in the middle of the empty street, and to my surprise, he did immediately, without arguing. "You're leaving," he said, like it was a realization rather than an observation. That's new too. I got out and didn't look back until I was half a block away, and when I did look, the car was gone. Not driving away. Gone. The street empty. No taillights, no sound of an engine. I filed a report with the app the next morning. They told me there was no driver matching that name or photo assigned to my ride that night. The driver on record was someone completely different. Someone who confirmed, when they eventually reached him, that his account had shown a completed trip to my location that night. A trip he had no memory of taking, at an hour he was certain he'd been asleep. I still don't know whose car I was in. I don't know if I'll get in it again.